Go buy our merch. I promise it's good.
Welcome to Wow If True, the podcast of your wildest memes.
We're your one-stop internet culture shop, here to dissect what's going viral, why we care, and how this might affect our real human lives. I'm your American Girl doll dupe, Isabel.
And I'm Amanda. Anyone can be famous on the internet, so why not us? Update on the countdown. We are now 7 episodes away from 69, and we have to acknowledge that this is a new bit we are doing, and if there's anything you gotta know about us, if this is your first episode, we commit to the bit.
It's oops all bits. It's just bits.
Remember that time when we went to an island for a week and then did a podcast on the island?
In retrospect, that was insane.
Remember in our first episode when you said that you were gonna make a TikTok in a suit doing sword tricks and then you never did?
Yeah, but in my defense, I just didn't want to.
But you were the one who suggested it. Anyway.
I suggest a lot of things that I end up not doing.
Speaking of things that suggest things, algorithms, question mark?
That was actually, I can't tell if that was very good or very bad, but yes.
That's generally the vibe of our podcast. Is this very good or is it very bad?
You know, let us know. And
once again, only podcast where we're going to tell you both about Homestuck and the difference between horizontal and vertical mergers.
Except we're not talking about either of these things today. Today we're talking about AI. Again. And ass. Again. You know, okay, I was thinking about this, and with the stripper web stuff, I feel like we've been on a real, ass kick.
Yeah.
In this, podcast, in this Chili's tonight.
It's because we're kicking ass, if you will.
So true, bestie. Anyway, we are talking about how Clarkesworld, a magazine of science fiction, got basically doxxed by AI submissions. And this is funny this was a weird experience for me. It was very worlds collide because my experience with this was magazine I submit to is we're closing submissions. I tell Amanda writes an article and talks to the editor-in-chief, and I was like, I don't know how to feel about this one.
Yeah.
And then also all my tech bro friends, I told them about it because I was wondering if it had broken containment because it hit Y Combinator, and they were like, no. And then I ended up debating tech bros about AI, which was my first mistake. Do you want to actually explain what's going on, or should I?
Yeah, so I mean, by now this did break containment because the New York Times wrote about it, but I must emphasize that I wrote about it first.
You're welcome.
I'm better.
That's on me.
I win journalism.
I feel like I should get credit for that because I was your source on the inside. AKA, I'm in their Discord.
No, I genuinely, anyone who listens to the podcast that is in weird internet communities, please tell me what newsworthy things are going on in your internet communities. I've been thinking a lot about this and how do I figure out what the cool internet things are before anyone else does? And then I'm the way you do it is just by having people tell you stuff. So you are all my sources on weird internet, and please email me, tweet me. I will be so happy. Anyway, what happened was, so Clarkesworld, big sci-fi magazine that Isabel has been published in several times.
Yeah. Okay, wait, can I give some context for this actually?
Yes.
Because I feel like this is one of those things where niche hobby drama that has, it's not really hobby drama, niche community drama that has wider implications for a field breaks loose on the internet. Because Clarkesworld contextually, and sorry I cut you off, but I'm just going to give context for where Clarkesworld sits within the science fiction magazine field. So Clarkesworld is one of the big boys. It is always nominated for awards. It has won awards. Stuff in it wins awards. Stuff in it gets nominated for awards. It has the unique features of basically being always open to submissions, and it never solicits from anybody. Mm-hmm. And it also pays higher than market rate. So this means that it's an easy target for websites that say stuff like, hey, if you want to get published for money, here's sites that publish you for money, which will list Clarkesworld as one of the markets because it's always open. It pays you money. And the thing is that it's actually very hard to get published in Clarkesworld. Disclaimer, I've been in there 4 times now, 5 by the time this comes out. Because I'm good at my job. And also, I guess Neil is good job, Isabel. I don't know what he sees in it. I hope he's not listening to this. I still don't know what he wants, but it sometimes is my stuff.
Yeah.
But this means basically that it sits in a unique position among the science fiction like online magazines, or like I guess just the science fiction magazines as a whole, which is like a small field to begin with within the wider science fiction community, because nobody really reads short fiction unless it's like someone famous, right? Like, let's be real. Or if sometimes something will break containment. But a lot of the people who do read short fiction in the science fiction field are like industry insiders. Like, the thing is that like you get published in magazines because A, you like the genre, B, because quite frankly it's good awards bait, C, because it's a good way for people to like discover you without you having to write a novel and it taking like 2 years to get published, because the process for this like will take a much shorter period of time. Clarkesworld is also unique in that it will process submissions very quickly. A lot of magazines will take like months to get back to you. Clarkesworld has a 2-day turnaround time. And
That's
so
insane.
all of these factors are, I don't fucking know how Neil does it. So all of these factors means that it was uniquely poised to say that when it was closing submissions, everybody freaked the fuck out, because it has not like closed submissions in like 17 years.
Yeah, I did ask Neil about this when I interviewed him, and he said that the only time they've closed submissions is if they're like, hey guys, we have to like redo our website real quick and like upgrade the servers, BRB. And then he said that they used to temporarily close submissions over the holidays to like give them a break, but then they stopped doing that because that just meant that when they reopened submissions, then they got like inundated, and it was like, nope, can't do that. But, like, this is the first time they have ever indefinitely closed submissions.
Yep.
And that's because
not...
everyone is sending them AI bullshit.
Yeah, and by everyone, it's apparently a bunch of individuals, like, just individual people who are generating bullshit, and then each kind of, like, one-off or two-off sending a couple of things, which is actually way harder to block than one guy who is just sending a stream of bullshit.
So... Neil Clark, editor of Clarkesworld, if we have not made that clear. The Clark of the Clarkesworld.
Just some guy named Neil.
Yeah, some guy. Neil from Potter Puppet Pal. I don't know why the first famous Neil I thought of is Neil Ciceriega or whatever, which says a lot about my upbringing.
See, I thought of Neil Gaiman, which is like, I feel like we're coming from different but equally invalid points of the internet.
Neil deGrasse Tyson, ?
Yo, a lot of Neils out there, huh?
Oh, Neil from Freaks and Geeks with one of my all-time favorite lines that I've remembered recently. This is worth the tangent, I promise. So, Neil is the nerdy guy, and Lindsay is, like, the older sister of his friend, and she's trying to, like, be cool, and she's throwing a party, and he's like, oh, what are you gonna play at your party? And she's like, oh, yeah, maybe some Sabbath. And she's like, like Black Sabbath. And he's like, Friday night, great night for some Sabbath.
Okay.
Anyway, Clarkesworld.
Okay.
But yeah, so Neil published a blog post, not Neil from Freaks and Geeks, and basically there's a graph of how many submissions are, like, marked as being spam submissions, and the graph goes between June 2019 and February 2023, this month. And so between June 2019 and like December 2022, there's never more than like 20 spam submissions. Like 20 is high. It's usually like 10, 5, 0. In February 2023, there have been over 500 spam submissions.
Yep. And so there's an obvious reason why he closed.
Yes. This is like a small magazine that is being run by, like, a very small staff, and they're getting all these submissions that are insane.
I mean, don't get it twisted. They process, like, an insane amount of submissions regularly. The issue here is that Neil has been looking at every single submission before banning people, because he doesn't want to accidentally ban someone. Which, honestly, I think he could be meaner. But I'm a dick.
Yeah, I mean... What's really interesting about this is that the obvious response is, oh, well, just get, like, one of those things that tells you whether text is AI generated or not. But the thing is that those systems are not very good. I think, so OpenAI, which is the company that makes ChatGPT, estimated that its own tool misses 74% of the time.
That's not a great percentage. That is, in fact, a bad percentage.
Yeah, and, like, there's really no AI text detector that's very reliable. Like, there's some that are maybe right, like, half the time, but Neil cares a lot about not turning off new authors, or, like, he is someone that has a history of, like, caring a lot about publishing literature and translation, and or even just, like, international authors whose first language might not be English, and this is an English language literary magazine. And if you're learning English as a second language, you might have some awkward syntax that doesn't make your writing not publishable. It just needs a little bit of an editor, but that awkward syntax might get flagged as being synthetic. And that poses a big accessibility issue too.
Neil is always like, whenever he marks my thing up, he'll like, there's inevitably like one or two lines that he's like, Isabel, what? And I'll be like, that's fair.
Damn.
This is not an ESL thing. It's just funny because this happens to me consistently. English is my first language. And he's still, I guess what I'm saying is he's still on my ass about it.
I do think that the brain can only contain so much language, and when people that are like fluent in more than one language, I know you say you're not fluent in Korean, but like, I don't know, I've heard you speak Korean. You're speaking it.
Thanks. Appreciate that.
Like, your mom will call you in the middle of the podcast, and I'm like, damn, that's some Korean right there. I don't know. I feel like it's like the more language you know, the more leeway you have to mess up some things.
Yeah, I think honestly that's fair. I think that after you hit like a certain level of multiple languages, you could just say whatever, and everyone else has to deal with it because you know more languages than them.
Yeah.
And that's how language works.
If they give you shit, just talk to them in Korean.
There we go. Except I can't do that to Neil because he's objectively right. Sometimes I'm just wrong. Wait, this is a sort of a tangent, but did you learn grammar in school?
Yeah.
See, I was talking about this with some of my middle school friends, and I probably brought this up before, and we were all kind of like, yeah, we never really learned grammar in middle school.
That's so interesting because I went to public school and you went to fancy private school.
No, that was a public school. My middle school was a public school, but like in a fancy area. But we were all kind of like, yeah, we didn't learn any grammar.
I mean, I was definitely like better at grammar because I read a lot and thus saw a lot of written text. But like, yeah, we did like sentence diagramming in 11th grade, and I fucking loved it. Loved every second of it.
I think what happened with my school experience is that they kept shifting when grammar would be taught, and somehow my grades ended up like just not getting taught the grammar. And then I became an English major. So I actually know a lot more Latin grammar than I know like English grammar.
God, that's so funny. Wow. While we're on the language tangent, can I just do something specifically for our bingo card?
No, you can't do it like specifically for the bingo card because then it's not organic. If you had just said it would have been fine. Anyway, go ahead. It's already ruined.
Well, yesterday, our friend Chase, shout out to Chase from like episode 3 on Length Book.
Oh, that was episode 1, baby. That was like 1 or 2.
I think it was the first one we recorded, but maybe it was episode, I don't even know. So Chase sent me a comic that was written in Lao and was like, Amanda, is this Lao? And I was like, did someone say Lao? And then I I can read Lao, but I can read Lao at the speed of like an old turtle that's about to die. Like, not a turtle, but like, I'm like, all right, I think that's that letter. Let me double check. Because it's been a while. So I spent like 40 minutes translating like 3 sentences. And it was a poster about not doing opium. And it was like, are you blowing smoke? Beware. You're gonna get addicted.
Yeah, that sure does seem like an anti-opium poster. That makes sense.
It wasn't a revelation. Chase was just like, hey, I saw this anti-opium poster. I think it's in Lao. And I was like, that is in Lao. Let me go translate it. And then I translated it and I was like, damn, that sure is a poster about not doing opium. But I had fun. I entertained myself. I love this for me.
I do think there should be a space on our bingo card that just says tangent, and you will just check it off every single time.
Yeah, but literally, okay, this is the thing about podcasts, though, is that every podcast has tangents. Like, people are listening to a conversational podcast between friends because we are smart and we know our shit, but we're also gonna bring up insane things.
Amanda will talk about Laos.
Yes.
To get back on topic, I was going to say something and I've completely forgotten, and I'm hoping by talking I will remember. Yes, I remember what it is now. What I was going to say is that what's interesting about this is that it's not a question of the quality of the text being submitted, like the AI generated text, because apparently it's all horseshit. Apparently it all sucks, but it sucks in a way that is like maybe adjacent to human sucking occasionally. And then what the actual problem is that it's like a social problem. It's a problem of people being able to generate bullshit immediately and then be like, yo, I'm gonna send that shit. Which is why I said all that stuff about, yep, they're always open, they respond fast, they pay money. This all makes them a really big target for, yo, I can just send them bullshit. And how do you stop people from doing that?
Yeah, the thing about these AI generators is that at least ChatGPT is literally built to give the most obvious response. So it's like when we think about what makes a short story or what makes a short story good, we're thinking like we want to be surprised. We want to be like, damn, like what a interesting way of putting that. Like, I mean, the conversation about what is good art is insane, and that'll just get us on another tangent.
I think good art is when I say it's good, and bad art is when I think it's not.
Oh yeah, exactly. That's
the worst piece of art that has ever been created. Anyway, that's all I got.
Yeah, but it's like nobody would read a story that's like, today I commuted to work. I got dressed and I brushed my teeth and I ate breakfast and I brushed my hair and then I got on the bus and the bus was like a minute or so delayed, but it was all fine. And then I got to the office and here I am.
That was riveting, Amanda.
Yeah, but like that's like the kind of story that ChatGPT writes.
Yeah, ChatGPT will give you the most obvious solution to your problem being write a story, and it's going to give you the most obvious story.
Yeah, I even heard about I feel like my mom's been making a lot of cameos in the podcast, but
oh, it's okay. We're gonna talk about my mom later, so
yeah. Something that I genuinely find very cute and fun is that my mom will like tip me tech stories. Like she'll just see something and be like, "Do you know about this?" And
it's cute.
Someone she knows said that like they read high school admissions essays, and there was one that was like very obviously written by ChatGPT and how this is like a problem. But like, I don't know, like if you ask ChatGPT to write a college admissions essay, it's not going to be good. Like the writing of college admissions essays is probably like a multi-million dollar business, not $1 billion, unless if it's like the scam from Lori Loughlin or whatever.
USC admissions is an outlier and should not be counted.
Like Spider's George.
Exactly.
I'm curious your perspective as both a writer and a visual artist. But for me as a writer, I'm really not that worried about AI right now because the stuff I get paid to do is not me being like, here's a sentence. And then we see CNET actually tried to automate some of their like straight news writing, and it was a disaster with a lot of inaccuracy, even though they had human editors like going over it, but it just didn't work. And then BuzzFeed is trying to use AI to like make quizzes, which, I don't know, go off. ChatGPT can't do my actual job. But then I also agree that's true for like short story writers or just fiction writers or poets, like any sort of creative writer generally. But then I do see why visual artists are kind of worried about AI generated artwork because it can give you something pretty visually appealing. But my hypothesis is that maybe probably spend less time looking at art than reading something. Like if you read a short story, that's like 15 minutes of your life. But you can just look at a picture for like 10 seconds and be like, damn, that's nice.
I think the solution here is that we should spend more time looking at pictures because remember, you gotta count the fingers, you gotta count the teeth.
Yeah.
No, but actually, yeah, I have a lot of thoughts about this because I have been fucking arguing with tech bros about this for too long. And by that, I mean like half an hour. And also reading so many posts about this in the various writer forums I'm in because I've hit a point in my, I guess, writing career that I'm in a bunch of like walled garden writers forums, which is interesting.
I love that. I love hearing about it.
Honestly, it's full of really interesting stuff because I think something that we didn't talk about here is that this is like a science fiction magazine getting attacked with like an AI DDoS sort of situation, which is honestly kind of delightfully ironic, even though it's causing like major problems for everybody. But I think that's also why the news latched onto this in a way that it didn't latch onto other stuff, because it's like, well, hey, shouldn't the science fiction writers be happy that the Torment Nexus was created? And science fiction writers are like, no, we were telling you not to create the Torment Nexus. Like, that is kind of the vibe of the community right now, like the community versus like tech, which is also interesting because there's a lot of crossover between like tech and science fiction for obvious reasons. A lot of the people in the community are technically skilled or like have like, you know, PhDs in various bullshit things. I shouldn't call them bullshit things. It's science or like tech shit. I say
bullshit
a lawyer.
Things like physics.
Yeah, bullshit things like biology. That was me dunking on biologists for my dad because sometimes my dad doesn't like biologists. I think it's just scientists are like that.
I do want to know more about that because your dad is a physicist. For those who do not know.
Okay, what do you want to know more about this? We can go down my dad's tangent.
I want to know, like, what does your dad think about like different branches of science? Like, I don't know. Like, I know, like, I have a friend who is a civil engineer, and this is Andrea, who I've mentioned on the podcast and listens to the podcast. I don't know why I'm like protecting Andrea's identity.
Shout out to Andrea.
For shit talking industrial engineers. But she's like, oh yeah, industrial engineers are engineers who just didn't know what else to do and like changed their major too many times. Which my brother has an industrial engineering degree that he does not use because he changed his major too many times. And I think Andrea's right. Andrea also has a mug that says engineering is rarely civil, which I just think is delightful.
That's good.
Yeah. But, like, yeah, so I feel like this is a thing where, like, scientists have bias against other types of science or engineering. So I want to know what your dad thinks.
Well, I don't know what my dad thinks about other stuff, but I know that he doesn't like biology that much. When I was thinking about doing, like, biology and that I liked it in high school, he was like, biology, derogatory. So that's how I know that. I think he feels fine about chemistry. I don't think he has strong feelings about it. He is specifically an experimental physicist, so I think he's closer to the, There's a sliding scale of, I think the harder you get in the sciences, like, and quote-unquote harder, I mean the closer to math you get, the more you look down on the things that are squishier. Like, physically squishier. However, I don't know why he's so against biologists, because what he does is, like, soft matter physics. So what he actually looked at is, like, looking at a lot of, like, I think it was a lot of, like, very small, like, intracellular interactions and stuff like that. I might be completely off. I have not actually read any of his research papers, because
I'm gonna read your dad's research papers.
You can do that. I could ask him for them, and he'd be like, Isabel, why are you asking me for these?
Yeah, and then you can read my dad's real estate blog, kenstrends.com.
I have looked at kenstrends.com.
It's a great website.
Really funny. Oh, also, pitch. Can someone please make a Wikipedia page for my dad? Because I think he deserves one.
Yeah.
No, hear me out. This is my pitch. This is completely off topic. I'm not allowed to do it because I'm his daughter. I asked Emmy about it. She's like, you can't do that. However, he was the head of a big science, like, research, like, he was, like, the chairman or some shit of, like, a big science research institute in Korea and he, like, the other guy on that page who was mentioned on that Wikipedia page does have a blue link. I think my dad should also have a blue link. He also won, like, a big physics award. Like, if you look him up, it'll say that he won this big physics award in, like, the Asia Pacific Neutron Scattering Organization or something. And also, he's been cited a bunch. I think my dad, Manwon Kim, deserves a Wikipedia page. Can someone please do this for him? Thank you.
New t-shirt just dropped about Isabel's dad deserving a Wikipedia page.
I'm actually dead serious. I think he fits all the criteria for a scientist, a notable academic in his field.
Damn, I know we talked to Emmy, again, many references to, like, our first 5 episodes. We talked to Emmy about her project Women Scientists to write more articles about women scientists on Wikipedia. However, what about Isabel's father?
However, what about my dad?
What about more male scientists?
Hey, what about more scientists of color? There we go. Now It's relevant.
Yeah. Take that, Emmy.
I don't know. My dad's just a guy, but unironically, I think he's some sort of important science guy, or he was some sort of important science guy, because I mentioned this to you before. He did run for like, or not run, or like apply for like the Minister of Science position or something like that in Korea.
I just think it's so funny that you're like, I think my dad's a big deal, but I'm not really sure.
It's not like I asked him about this because he's like my father. And he's retired now.
Yeah. Well, this does remind me of a meme that I love where, you know, the meme format where it's like, don't ask a woman her weight, a man his salary, or, and then blank.
Is the blank here Isabel what her dad does?
Well, no. So my favorite iteration of this meme is that the blank is, or an indie musician, why their parents' names are blue on Wikipedia. Because there's a lot of like famous indie musicians like Frankie Cosmos that are like fine, but nepotism, I guess. People love nepotism. And
sometimes I think about the fact that I could have done nepotism so hard if I went into science.
Well, yeah, but you didn't.
Yeah, I didn't. I got a English degree.
Yeah, so I think it would be fun if you had a parent whose name is Blue on Wikipedia, because then I could call you a Nepo baby, even though you're not in physics.
I think that would be really funny. Anyway, someone please make my dad a Wikipedia page. I can also tie this back to our original subject by saying, if you're wondering if having a physicist dad is actually helpful for the science fiction, it's not. I asked him some questions and he was like, Isabel, do your own research.
Listen, if you've ever wondered whether having a dad who works in real estate is helpful for your career as a journalist,
a whole journalism.
I mean, not particularly, but, you know, he's pretty supportive, I would say, you know?
I feel like if you were, like, writing about the Florida real estate market, I could call you a Nepo baby.
Well, my dad writes about the Florida real estate market on his blog, kenstrends.com.
In this episode, Iz and Amanda just plug their dads. And then also
honestly,
talk about their
I'm
moms.
very happy with these tangents. I think I'm very happy to talk about your dad and his campaign for a Wikipedia page.
It's not his campaign. It's my campaign for his Wikipedia page. He doesn't
It's my
care.
campaign too. I'm very dedicated to this, but
it's our campaign.
You did say you had a way to tie this back.
I did have a way to tie this back, and I tried to do it, and then we immediately started talking more about dads. But it's that, having a science father does not help with the science fiction. But going back to my point about the science fiction, I had a lot of points, but my point was basically, first, it's not a, like, quality control issue, if that makes sense. It's not like the stories, like, what was interesting when I was talking with some of my friends who work in tech, their concern was, A, why should we ban AI submissions? What if they're good? B, why would you ban AI submissions that are good anyway? And then the response to that is very much like, sir, we are not at this point yet.
Yeah.
We're not there. This is a human problem that we're trying to solve with human solutions, and that's actually way harder than trying to, like, make some sort of overarching policy about how we deal with AI, if that makes sense. The problem right now is scammers have a way to easily access blocks of text.
Yeah, and there's already cases of people self-publishing books on Amazon that are written with AI, and some of them have sold, particularly like children's books, which I guess are easier to write because there's like 3 words in them. But like, I just don't want to read a story written by an AI. I just don't think it's interesting.
Right, and like, so that's the other half of my point, where right now I think we're at a place where AI content is a novelty rather than an actual part of a lot of people's workflows, at least in the mainstream sphere. I think the concern is when that actually becomes a part of people's workflows. The other thing I want to say is I want to go back to my point that I made a few episodes ago about I think art should have human suffering in it. I want to know somebody suffered to make this art. And I said that as a joke a while back, but I'm not joking anymore. Like, I do want to know that someone is trying to communicate with me. And I don't think AI art is at the point where it is trying to communicate with me in a way that's interesting.
Bing's AI, which is also based off of ChatGPT, just like went off the rails because people were able to get around like the safeguards or whatever, because all these companies are racing to do the capitalism, and then that means that they're just releasing products that aren't ready for public consumption. And then so I was looking into this for work, but then didn't end up writing about it because someone else did. And I was like, I'm tired and I'm stressed out that I'm getting yelled at by a robot. But like, it was really easy to get Bing to be like, journalists are untrustworthy.
This is the other thing that I think is really irresponsible about AI is that it's just getting like released into the wild as like a search engine or as like something that's supposed to enhance people's workflows while it's not right. It's right enough where people assume it's right, and it's really good at mimicking the way that people speak. It's not accurate. It's not always accurate, and that's like a fucked up thing to just unleash on the world, especially when it's like a lot of people who don't have like that much technical knowledge who are going to be using it. Like, my thoughts are that right now it's way too easy to, this is a different point than the story's point, but like it's way too easy to use the AI without knowing how it works.
Yeah. And I think when you don't know how it works, then you don't know what its flaws are and how to use it responsibly, because there are ways in which, like, sure, like, people say ChatGPT can help them write code that's kind of tedious. Like, fine, good. But you have to know that what this is doing is it is pulling from a data set. The data set is basically the entire internet up until 2021. Like, it is literally just scraping the web. There are some, like, nuances there, but it is the internet. And you are pulling from the internet and then asking it to do things. And it's like, would you trust a random commenter on Reddit implicitly? Like, it might
I do,
seem
though.
like,
Sometimes
what?
they're right. I do sometimes do that, though.
But this is, I mean, we already knew we had a media literacy problem. But I mean, I don't know. I trust people on Reddit about, like, how to beat the level in video game, but I don't know, man. There's some crazy shit on Reddit. Something I'm equally passionate about this to getting Isabel's data Wikipedia page. I really think that all tech bros should have had an art history class.
Yo, so true, bestie.
It's
Unironically.
It's like the same shit happened with NFTs, where like I wrote about this like 3 years ago at this point, but people were like making NFTs where they were like, I put no effort into this, and then they sell for thousands of dollars, and it's like, we've done this before. Duchamp did this like 100 years ago, and it was kind of interesting then, but it's been 100 years. It's like, if I was like, hey guys, amazing invention, have you heard of the electric guitar? And I think tech bros just, they don't go beyond, oh, it's kind of cool that a computer can make art. Like, yeah, that is cool, but also, like, we've been doing this. This has been happening. And it's like, it's not just enough for the computer to make the art. Like, I think that procedurally generated things are interesting. Like, you and I did a project a couple years ago where we took lines of each of our poetry, and, well, for you, it was, like, fiction, I think. But we, like, took lines from each of our writing and then created a little, like, twine game that reorganized them into new poems. And it's like, yeah, we were using technology to do that, but we were also using our actual writing. And what was interesting about it was that it was, like, melding the two of our experiences. And that's when we started joking that we collectively are a Korean Jewish American woman.
Yeah. Like, art has to say something. Like, that's the point of this, right? Like, art needs to say something, and even if you're saying nothing, like, defend your nothing. Like, honestly, like, I think every tech bro should have to do, like, a thesis defense class. Like, I'm dead serious. Like, justify what you're making to an audience of your peers.
I think that when we talk about art, we just need to think, oh, and then what's next? Because, sure, like, it's really interesting that you can make art with AI. It's really interesting that you can write a short story with AI, but, like, how do you get past the gimmick? Because gimmicks on their own aren't interesting. They're maybe interesting the first time somebody ever does it, but nothing's left to do for the first time at this point.
Yeah, like, we're out of novelty. Like, what, like, you know, say something else. The other thing I want to point out here is that we've been talking a lot about, like, art, like, art with, like, a capital A, and how, like, you don't think your job is under threat because, like, what you're doing is not just, like, writing words on a screen. It's like you need, like, a fucking knowledge base. You need, like, there is a level of expertise that the AI is just not going to have, like, in a voice. Like, does that sound right?
I mean, yeah, I also think there's just parts of my job that, like, I don't think an AI can interview somebody.
Well, give it, 200 years.
I'm not going to be alive in 200 years.
And it's someone else's problem.
But I think even if that were the case, I think that it's hopefully important to the public that there's an intermediary in the way they get their news that can, like, contextualize it and make sure it's true. But then again, people don't trust the media, so I don't fucking know.
The system is broken. But, like, I have a similar outlook on this as you do. What's been interesting is that I don't think, like, my quote-unquote job, like, let's be real, like, writing isn't, like, my full-time job. Lawyering is my job. Sending emails is my job. I would like someone to automate that, honestly, actually. But what I'm saying is that, like, yeah, I don't think anyone's gonna come for my quote-unquote job as a short fiction writer or wizard fiction peddler, because at that point you're not coming to me because of a certain, like, level of prose or something. Like, you're not coming to me for a story, you're coming to me for an Isabel story. Like,
Yeah.
you're coming for, like, hey, what's this girl got in her freaky brain? What's been interesting is one of the topics of conversation in a community has been, like, AI is going to be fine for established writers, but the problem is that it's going to create a huge signal noise issue for people who are trying to break into the industry. Because, like, what's going on is, like, all of the solutions that people are suggesting to, like, cut down on AI submissions will also, to some extent, make it harder for people who are interested in doing this, this being, like, writing science fiction and getting published in magazines, which, like, you don't need to do that. You can just post stuff on the internet. Like, this is completely optional, right? But it's going to make an extra hurdle for them to basically get into what is sort of like a semi-gated community. And that was one of people's big concerns. And, like, that's actually, I think, one of the big concerns of just, like, making stuff on the internet these days, if that makes sense. Yeah. Where, like, I don't know, man. We talk a lot about, like, the work of art in the age of mechanical reproduction, but, like, I think about this, like, in the context of, like, the first revolutions of this are basically, great, now we can make copies of existing shit. And now it's great, we can make existing shit based on other existing shit, and it's slightly shittier, but it's out there. So the amount of content that can just be produced versus the amount of good content is fucky, and the filters to keep the amount of stuff that is, like, being produced from getting places will also inevitably, like, stop people who have, like, good shit to say from getting into the spaces that they want to be in or they should be in. And, like for example, what I'm talking about is, like, what people are suggesting is, okay, maybe we should do, like, a 1 cent or $1 submission fee. Great, now how does this affect people who are outside of the United States and Canada? People are saying, what if you get, like, sponsored by someone who's in the community? And it's like, great, now that creates more clicks. That creates a lot more clicks. And it's like, what if you have to verify your identity? What if you have to read 4 submissions and pick out which one's the AI before, like, going further? Like, basically creating hoops for people. And, like, this is going to stop people. I don't think any of this is going to happen, by the way. It's just people brainstorming. But it's an interesting problem where it's like, okay, if you're trying to solve a social problem, you are inevitably going to catch other people within that net. And the other thing I want to say about this is that we've been talking a lot about art with, like, a capital A. Like, I said that. What I think is actually going to be at risk is not our jobs. It's going to be, like, low-level text creation, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah. Like, I mean, back in the day, I did jobs where, like, I wrote an article for, like, financialplanning.com. That's not the actual name. I just kind of don't want to out myself with the horrible things I wrote for money. They're not, like, they're just, like, bad quality. But, like, I essentially was doing what an AI is doing and getting paid for it. And, yeah, those jobs are probably at risk. But also, I think those jobs sort of already were robot jobs because the purpose of those jobs is to get on Google and have good SEO. So you're already working for the robot being the Google algorithm. Like, the purpose isn't like, I'm going to write a really good article about financial planning. It's this company wants to show up in search results, and they then will get ad money from people clicking on their website, and then they will get money. I don't know. I think if someone is writing creative works for fun and they want to experiment with ChatGPT or even, like, professional people, if you want to experiment with it and see what's there, cool. But, like, I just don't really know if there's really anything that valuable to do. Like, I mean, I literally studied experimental poetry in school. Like, I've taken more experimental poetry classes than 99.9% of the global population. And, like,
is that a flex or, like, is that a dunk on you?
I think that's a dunk on me. It's like when I say that I was president of my high school Model UN club. It's like, is this a flex or is this a dunk? But, like, it's just not interesting. Like, I don't really see any way I could use ChatGPT. I don't know. I have yet to see this be used in an interesting, creative way.
I think there's interesting stuff you can do with it. Like, I think there's interesting applications of large language models and, like, procedural generation and shit. Like, I'm not against technology advancing. Like, let's not say that I'm a Luddite or anything. And I'm also not against, like, appropriating text. Like, ya boy did multiple theses on appropriating text. That was, like, the whole thing with, like, my art degree. But, like, I don't know. It's just not interesting what people are making. And I don't think it's anything more than a novelty. I do think, okay, so I'm going to put one last thought, and then we can move on to more interesting things than AI. That is to say, butts. And that's to put, like, all my cards on the table. I'm pretty sure I'm in the March issue because I've been sending edits back and forth with Neil. And I know from another author that their story is about AI, and my story was about AI. So I am just putting a pin in it that I think next issue, the March issue of Clarkesworld, is going to be all AI stories, which I think is a very powerful move on Neil's part.
God, fucking love this guy.
I don't know if it's going to happen, but by the time this is out, it will be out. So you should go read it and find that out.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I think the last thing I have to say on this is that what I hate about the tech industry is that people just do things because it's cool and interesting and they don't think about the consequences of it. And this is the perfect encapsulation of that, where it's like, oh, I'm gonna write an AI story and send it to a magazine. That's kind of funny because it's a sci-fi magazine, so, like, I'm doing it. It's really meta. No, it's not. You're fucking boring and don't have any original ideas. I'm really angry about this now.
Oh, wait, no. Sorry, I have one more thought. The other thought is that I think being able to create infinite content has a very different meaning in a capitalist and a non-capitalist society.
Yes.
Because there's a whole bottleneck issue with these magazines to begin with, and there's also an issue of $600 for your short story goes a lot further in some countries than others. And that's all I gotta say about this. Life is complicated. Burn down the system, I say, as a leveraged finance attorney. On that note, sometimes we do interviews at horrible times because of time zone reasons, and we just really had to talk to Jess about her butt going viral. And this is, it's like a human butt. This is great. We're away from AI. We're talking about things in the real world. Like, yeah, ass.
Human art on human ass.
Welcome to Late Night Wow If True, where it's reruns all day, baby. Just kidding. It's the adult content episode. Just kidding. I said it's reruns because we're going back to our roots, talking with people about their experiences going viral. Psych, I lied. We're talking about butts. Today I'm joined by Jess at YJessYJess on Twitter, who is here because her butt is going viral on the internet. So I was right both times. This was psych, I lied, I didn't lie, both Schrodinger's cat. Jess, I'm so sorry. I'm probably going to make so many butt jokes at you. Anyway, tell me about what's going on.
I want all the butt jokes. Please and thank you. Yeah, my butt has gone viral. I think we're currently sitting at 1.2 million views and 50-something
1.2 million
likes.
People have seen your butt?
Yeah. Look, it is what it is. It's my butt. It's a slice of my butt. It's not even my total butt. It's a quarter of a butt cheek. It's fine. It is what it is. It's a good butt.
I mean, it's a very aesthetic slice of your butt cheek. I agree. It's a great butt. Okay, so the context behind this.
Or,
like, walk me through your thought process in posting your butt on the internet.
Well, I've never posted my butt on the internet before. That's for sure. This is a first. Yeah, I don't have an OnlyFans. Maybe I should start one at this point. I got a funny tattoo. I got a funny tattoo of Atlas holding up my butt, and I said, I didn't even think about it actually. I just did the same thing that I do normally, which is I get a new tattoo and I post it on social media. Normally it's, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. That's it. And normally Twitter is the one that quote unquote performs worse, is the one that gets like 20 likes and that's it. And this time that didn't happen. But yeah, I didn't even think about the fact that that was my butt. It's just, a funny tattoo, a cool tattoo. It's not even a great photo. It's like a below average photo of the tattoo and of the butt.
A below average photo of your butt is going viral on the internet. Nightmare scenario.
Just, what more would you want from life, really? I mean, yeah.
Yeah, to describe this for everyone at home, the photograph is of Jess's butt.
Yep.
And it has basically like Atlas holding up the world, where basically he is holding up a butt cheek, which is honestly, that's incredibly funny. I thought this was great. I can see why this went viral because it is the exact brand of funny to go viral on the internet. Also, that's like a lot. That's a lot to go viral with your butt. How do you feel about this whole situation?
I mean, honestly, I panicked initially. Like when I saw someone with a blue check mark, I don't know who, retweeted. Well, I know who, but it's an account of merch that is actually, here you go, here's your Supernatural, the TV show quota. They mostly do Supernatural merch. They retweeted it for some reason. They must have seen it from someone else. They retweeted it and then it took off. And initially I panicked a little bit. I was like, oh shit. Should I delete this? Should I keep this? Like, it's seriously doing the rounds. I don't know if I'm comfortable with this. But then I said, you know what? Let it go. Let it be. Who cares? It's just a slice of butt. It's not my whole butt anyways.
Okay, sorry. So a Supernatural account was the first blue check that retweeted you?
It was Stans, which is a account that makes merch for Supernatural mostly. It does a few other things, but mostly Supernatural. And yeah, they were the first blue check account to retweet.
I'm obsessed with that. Do you know the amount we talk about Supernatural on this podcast? It's too much. It's too fucking much.
Being up to episode 13, 15, catching up. I love it. I love it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So Supernatural merch. How did that spread from there to the rest of Twitter? Was there like a tipping point at which you realized, oh God, a bunch of people have now seen my butt?
There was, and it was me messaging a friend of mine and being like, it's gone, it's done, it's out there and it's high and mighty. And she was like, what does that mean? And I took a screen recording of my phone with me constantly like refreshing my notifications, and it would just not stop. Like every single time I would like refresh my notification, there was like new retweets and new quotes and new replies and new likes, and I was like, my phone is going to implode. And yeah, this is the tipping point. Everyone's seen my butt now. Yep.
How do you feel about that? Because I feel like if my butt went viral on the internet, I would be like, oh God, my butt is viral on the internet. But I also kind of be like, hell yeah, my butt's viral on the internet. Look at my sick tattoo.
Yeah, it's both. It's definitely both. On one side, I'm thrilled that it's like objectively a good photo of my butt. Like it's a good angle. There's no like lumps and bumps and whatnot. And it's objectively a good photo. It's a realistic photo, but it's a good photo. And on the other side, I'm like, hell yeah, it should. It should go viral. It's a great butt.
It's a great butt.
It's a great photo.
Okay, so 2 more questions for you. Has this going viral meaningfully affected your life? We used to ask people this all the time, and I feel like we always got a similar set of answers. Or like, it was one of 2 things. Either it would like completely change their lives, or this is just a weird thing that's happening on Twitter. And I feel like this is more in the camp of this is a weird thing that's happening on Twitter. However, I would love to know if this has changed your life in any sort of way.
It has not changed my life in any sort of way. I have gained a few hundred followers, which I think it's all people that expect me to post my butt more often. Spoiler alert, I won't. Like,
okay.
My butt is not going to feature my Twitter anymore. That's it. It was a one-time event. But no, it has not affected my life in any formal way. I feel like if I really think about it, maybe my self-esteem has gone a little bit higher.
I feel like you could probably try and engineer some sort of like MeUndies sponsorship or something like that out of this. If you really wanted to like some physical like recompense for this whole experience? Like, I feel like there's ways to leverage this if you wanted to.
I could. I am also still waiting for the Galaxy Light people to message me and be like, hey, do you want us to sponsor you? And be like, no, because you're a scam.
God, the Galaxy Light people was a truly fascinating time. Scams on the internet are so, like, fifth dimensional at this point. This is a question that I have that I think that if Amanda was here, she would be like, yeah, I've already experienced that and I already know what that's like, and I could just tell you about it. But I haven't asked her about this, and she hasn't told me. Does Twitter start mechanically breaking after you go viral? Especially now, after Twitter has started breaking when you use it regular.
Twitter is already breaking. But yeah, there were some replies that now I cannot see anymore. I don't know if that makes sense. Like in the thread, there were some replies that initially were hidden that because they said the word ass. And so Twitter, God forbid we can leave Nazis there, but God forbid you say the word ass. Those were hidden, and now I cannot see them at all. So I can't access some of the replies at all. And that's the thing, that I was checking the thread and checking the quotes to see what were people saying about this tattoo, because, that's my butt. I want to know. And everyone was really nice about it. Literally everyone. Which is weird because it's Twitter, and that's unusual for Twitter. But now I can't see them all, so I don't know if everyone was actually being nice about it. But yeah, so that part is broken of Twitter.
Interesting.
For my viral experience.
Right, so it's broken in two ways. First, people are being nice on the internet, and the second is that it's mechanically breaking.
Yeah. Yeah, but very unexpected for people on Twitter to be nice.
I think you should just choose to believe that everyone thinks you have an amazing ass. I think that's like that's the right mindset to go into 2023 with.
Yes, that's my quote. That's what I'm taking with me.
Exactly. Okay, if you could choose to have one body part go viral on the internet, what would you choose?
I mean, I'm happy for my butt. I would definitely not be my face. Not my face. 100% not my face. I'm happy for my butt to have gone viral. Yeah.
That's kind of like the opposite of your face. Like in some ways. Yes.
Yes. I mean, now it's still vividly recognizable because everyone that sees my right butt cheek will, recognize that it's that same butt cheek.
Yeah, are you expecting to do you think it's ever going to happen that you go to like the pool or something like that and then somebody's going to be like, I recognize that butt? Because it's like a million people. Like sorry, did I put a new fear in your head? I'm just saying it could happen now. The face you're making is really good. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. I just didn't think about it. I thought about going to the pools because I was thinking about going to the pools in a few weeks when all the tattoos are healed and whatnot. And I thought about the fact that I have to wear the tattoo in public. But I didn't think about someone being like, I've seen your tattoo on Twitter.
It's like 1.2 million people. That's a lot of people. One of them might be in your pool vicinity.
Yeah, no, that's a possibility. I don't know how I will react to that. I'll be like, heck yeah, you've seen it.
Honestly, I don't know. I'm making fun of you right now, but I also don't know how I would react if somebody said anything to me about my cool butt tattoo that they have seen on Twitter. Like, that's a new social interaction. We've discovered a new social interaction.
I would also go to the pools with the kids that I nanny that are aware of my butt tattoo because we have a strong bond of Greek mythology. So they all know about my Atlas butt tattoo. I feel like it would be more weird for them than for me at that point. That's okay. I can deal with that.
Oh, second new human interaction we've discovered. Someone recognizing your nanny's butt tattoo. From Twitter.
Poor children.
How do you feel about traumatizing children, just generally? Good, bad? I feel good about it.
I mean, at this point, what else can go wrong?
So, when we talked, you mentioned that you'd gone semi-viral before. How does this compare to that experience? And also, what was that experience?
Oh, so much better. Honestly, my butt is so much better. That experience was No, that supernatural fandom is unhinged in the best possible way at times, but in the worst possible way at other times.
Oh my god. Okay, the fact that it was supernatural fandom, you went semi-viral, and that's so much. You
I
please
know.
unpack this. Please unpack this for us.
I will. So I found this beautiful art. This was after Castiel, Destiel went canon in Spanish, whatever else.
Yeah, that's, yes.
An artist on Twitter, on Instagram, sorry, posted this beautiful art of Castiel with like a rainbow situation on his face and wings and whatnot. And I messaged him and I was like, I can't find you on Twitter. Your link tree didn't have Twitter or something. Can I post this on Twitter? Yes, but please tag me. And I was like, cool. Yeah, can do that. And I posted the art and posted who it was from. And I woke up to, I went to bed, woke up to a horde, like a little bunch of probably teenagers harassing me because this artist had very clearly stated on their Instagram bio, do not share without permission.
Oh, okay. I see where this...
Which I had permission.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I woke up with like a horde of people just harassing me, being like, you did not do this properly. You did not ask permission. I was like, I did. Here's receipts. I've got a DM to prove it.
Oh my god.
Yeah. And it was a lot of people asking me for, deleting the tweet. And I was like, no, I'm not gonna, I've got permission from, and I ended up adding it to the thread, being like, I've got permission. Yeah, I was blocked by people, harassed for weeks, and it was a whole thing. And I ended up reporting to this artist, being like, this is what's happening, but there's also a lot of people asking for your art. And they were like, I'm about to open a Redbubble. I will send you a link. And they did. They sent me a link. And I personally replied to every single person that was harassing me for sharing art without having the permission with their Redbubble, being like, there you go. Now the artist has a Redbubble. Since you care so much, how about you buy it?
That's like extremely good passive aggression right there.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm very good at that. But yeah, that's the one time that I went semi-viral. It was a rough 2 days because people would just not open the whole thread where I was explaining the situation and being like, I didn't steal it. I have permission. I know that their bio says no permission, says no sharing, but I do have permission.
I mean, people on the internet can't read. You know that, right? The reading comprehension, we piss on the poor, etc., etc.
Yeah, that is very true. But yeah, that was a lot. So this experience was definitely much better.
So what I'm hearing is that people on the internet love ass and hate reading.
Yes, that is correct. That is the correct assumption to make.
All right. Any last thoughts that you'd like to tell our podcast listeners about your butt or about anything else?
Get this stupid tattoo. Honestly, do it. That's all I can say. Get the dumb tattoo and do the thing. And then share it on the internet and you'll go viral. Probably.
You heard it here, folks. 100% foolproof plan from Jess on how to go viral on the internet.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for talking with me. And thank you for doing this last minute. And that's all I got. It's late night. I don't know, man. What do you want from me? We're going back to the main episode now.
Thanks for having me.
I said this before. I feel like we've been talking about butts too much.
I mean, I don't really think we have. We talked about, sex work, but we didn't talk about butts.
That's true. These are distinctions. I guess I was thinking about these as related items.
Yeah, I don't think they're related items. I think we're doing great, but you know what is completely unrelated to butts?
What's completely unrelated to butts?
American Girl dolls?
God, I hope that's unrelated to butts. Don't say it like it's a question. All right, so I guess I'm going to talk about this because it is my name. If you haven't heard about this because you do not have a small child, or you are not a nostalgia freak, or you are not within the American Girl doll community, which is apparently a whole thing.
Or if your name is neither Isabel nor Nikki.
I will explain what's going on. So there are 2 new American Girl dolls, and this is part of their it's how there's a line of American Girl dolls that are basically historical time periods, and they have all of this cute furniture that comes from the time period, And it's like, like Samantha, who's like from the Victorian era, or like Molly, who's from World War II. I had Molly, this is why I know this. There are two new ones who are twins. And this is Isabel and Nikki. Obviously, I care deeply about this because that's my fucking name. That's my fucking name on this doll. And second, here's the kicker. The historical era they're from is 1999.
Ayo. And they live in Seattle, and they're twins. And one of them, Isabel, wears all pink and likes girly stuff. And Nikki is wearing, like, a dress over a t-shirt and likes zines and punk rock.
She's got a skateboard. She's, like, grunge. One of their accessories is a Pizza Hut box and a Pizza Hut pizza. And one of their other accessories is a blow-up chair. Like, those blow-up chairs that were around in the 90s. And also one of those, like, big family computers, like the ones that made a bunch of noise when you started them up.
I do think this is smart in terms of Y2K fashion is big right now, and they're catering to that, but also...
But why are they historical? It's 1999! Are we old?
I don't know anything about American Girl dolls. And when Isabel said that she wanted to talk about this, I was like, isn't there a Jewish one? And I googled American Girl doll Jewish, and I found an Alma article titled, Are the New 90s American Girl Dolls Jewish? The subhead of the Alma article is, Twins Nikki and Isabel Hoffman seem to celebrate Hanukkah, but a deeper representation is nowhere to be found.
Oh yeah, no, I don't have anything else to say about this other than that, like, it's 1999 isn't historic, and I don't know why they did 1999 other than I didn't think about the point that you made that Y2K fashion is back. And that makes sense that they're going the Y2K fashion route. The other thing I was going to say is that I was actually looking at the other dolls that exist, the historic ones, because I was like, hey, what's going on? And this is interesting to me as someone who has not, like, experienced American Girl dolls in, like, years, is how many of them are from recent decades rather than, like, being, like, historic. Because I feel like when we were kids, American Girl dolls were, like, from, like, the 1700s, and now there's, like, 5 of them who are from 1950 onwards, basically covering 1950s, 1960s, 1970s, 1980s, and 1990s.
Yeah.
Which, that feels less historic to me than just, like, various fashion trends, if that makes sense. I mean, obviously, history is happening in all of these decades.
They have, like, storybooks about the girls, right? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm not an American Girl doll haver. I don't know if I even wanted one as a kid, but I'm like, there's no way my parents were buying me a $100 doll. I had my little Polly Pockets. But what if the story in the book is about these twins, and their first big experience is they are worried that the world is going to end in the year 2000.
Damn, that would be...
And then it just doesn't. And then they're kind of dealing with this sense of, like, loss and hope at the same time. And then about 2 years later, bam, 9/11.
Yo, they're not gonna do that, but by God, I wish they would. Cannot stress enough that the book that comes with them is, like, very much like a journal book. And it's very much me, my favorite color, pink, favorite animal, cat, favorite music, Spice Girls.
So do you think you're gonna obtain the Isabel doll?
Yeah, okay, so the other part about this, and I guess this is a part of the podcast where Isabel talks about her mom. I texted my mom that they made an American Girl doll named Isabel, because it's spelled the way that my name is spelled, which is a little bit of, like, not the super standard spelling that you see in the East Coast, I think. And my mom was like, oh shit. She did not say oh shit, my mom does not curse. I curse. But she was like, send me the link. And she was like, first of all, she was very smug that she got my name, like, on brand for what would be considered on brand in the 90s, I guess. She was like, nice, I nailed that.
I mean, listen, my name is Amanda.
Yeah, God. Hey, at least neither of us are named Emily. Shout out to all the Emilys I know.
I'm so sorry, Emily.
And the other thing she was like, I'm gonna get you this doll. And I was like, Mom, I'm 27.
Do you think she's gonna get it for you?
She's gonna buy me this doll. I can already tell she's gonna buy me this doll. And I'm like, Mom, what I do with it? And she's like, it's so cute.
Mom who's listening to this podcast, can you buy me the Nikki American Girl doll? Just kidding, please don't. I don't want it.
No, because, like, right before we started recording, I was on a call with my mom where she was like, So how much is it? How do you want it? And I was like, Mom, I'm 27.
Would you rather her give you another sword?
No, I have enough swords. I would actually prefer the American Girl doll.
I love the aspect of you and your mom's relationship where she just brings you swords, and then you're like, Mom, I already have 5 swords.
It's only happened once. Like, she only brought the 5 swords over once, and then now she has not brought over any more swords. Although getting rid of the swords in our garage is actually is actually a point of discussion between me and my dad and my mom right now. Because they both agree that the swords need to go. They don't know what to do with them. Does anyone want 80 wooden swords?
Yeah, and then before I asked you, I was like, this feels like this is like, it's weird that your mom is like, let me buy you this white doll that represents you. And then you're like, nah, I'm 27. This is just my mom having fun. And I was like, yeah, you're so right.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I think this is one of those things where it's like, I'm gonna be real. I think that, like, white people think about this more than, like, Asian people do. It's like, I mean, the place I'm coming from is I never have representation, and it's actually very weird to me now in 2023 that there is some representation. Like, you're just not gonna get it a lot of times. And also, this is a very cute doll. And I would have really wanted it when I was, like, 7, because she is wearing so much pink, and she has my name.
Yeah. I really like how you're both someone who is kind of goth, but also loves pink.
Yeah, oh no, like, there was a whole arc. Like, if you knew me before I was, like, 10 or 11, it was princess dresses, pink stuff. And then if you knew me after that, it was My Chemical Romance, Docs, big headphones.
Well, I feel like that's how you dress, but I feel like you love pink in, like, art.
Yeah, I like pink. I like pink, and I
like our merch. Go buy our merch. It's pink.
Yeah.
But there's also non-pink ones, but a lot of it is pink, but you don't have to get the pink.
There is, a lot of it is many colors. You should get it. It's good merch.
wowiftrue.com/merch. I wore the sweatshirt to yoga, and the yoga teacher complimented it, and I didn't know what to say, and I just kind of was like, thank you, and then left.
No, you gotta be on your grind set. You gotta be like, yes, this is where I got it. wowiftrue.com/merch.
Yeah, because her thing was, I like your sweater, it seems cozy. So I was like, is she commenting on the coziness of the sweatshirt, or is she complimenting the design? And then I just kind of panicked, and I don't know, I mean, I don't think it looks like, it is a very comfortable sweatshirt, but it is just kind of a sweatshirt.
Anyway, can we talk again about 1999 being historic? I don't know how to feel about that one. I feel like we glossed over that.
Yeah, I don't know. I was alive. I actually, you know what? I want to know, what does Nikki think about Kurt Cobain's death? So what year did Kurt Cobain die? 1994. Okay, so we're a little past that, but, like, Seattle grunge, come on.
The Seattle grunge of it all is extremely good.
Yeah, also, like, why are they from Seattle?
Why not? People can be from Seattle.
Yeah.
Yeah, what do you have against people who live in Seattle?
It just feels like they were like, how do we make this girl grunge? Let's say she's like 9 and she's really into punk zines in Seattle.
Are they supposed to be 9? That's crazy.
One of the other new ones is 12, but...
Okay, I'm gonna
don't fact check me.
I'm gonna look at their book. Yo, it is not saying what age they are in this book. On the free pages of this book. They are Geminis, though. And they're twins, and I feel like this was on purpose. The other thing I thought was funny is that I feel like twins were a very big 90s, 2000s thing. Like, Sweet Life of Zack and Cody.
Yeah.
The Parent Trap.
I remember really wanting to be a twin, or, like, I wanted as an adult to have twins, and then now, as an adult, I'm like, damn, having one newborn baby seems like a mammothly impossible task. Imagine having 2? And the cost, like, you're prepared to, like, financially take care of one baby, but then 2?
At least you're getting it all done at once.
Yeah, that is a good point. Like, if you want to have 2 kids, I'd rather just go all in.
And then you can buy them both of these dolls. And they can each have one.
Yeah, because of course, one of your children is going to be very girly, and one of them is going to be very punk rock. Those are the 2 genders.
These are the 2 genders of girl. We've created new genders of girl. On that note, if you like this episode, tell a friend. Word of mouth is how we grow. Thank you to all of our patrons, and shout out specifically to Zoe Bray, Andre Thea, Brian Gabriel, Lotta Matt, Max, and Aaron's husband. If you want your name in the above or in our Twitter header, slide right into our Patreon at patreon.com/wowoftrue. Shout out to our audio editors, Allison Mills and David Newtown, graphic designer and Canva warlock Eric Silver, who made our logo, Sam Reiser, who made our podcast music, and Tessa Farrow, who is transcribing our episodes. You can find us on Twitter as @wowofTruePod and Instagram and Facebook as @wowoftrue. And our merch is at wowoftrue.com/merch. Had your 15 seconds of internet fame, slide right into our Twitter DMs and tell us about it. And until next time, let's get weird on the internet.
Update from editing Allison. Isabel's mom did buy her the doll.